Hello, this is Harry Hobson, President and CEO of Plymouth Harbor.
And I'm Karen Novak, the Administrator for Strategic Health here at Plymouth Harbor as well.
There's a couple items we're going to talk about today in this update. Of course, we're going to talk about the COVID campus update as we always do. But then we're going to spend some time on the recently released CDC guidance for visitations and how that impacts Plymouth Harbor. So Karen, why don't we go ahead with the campus update first?
I'd love to start off by saying we have no residents that are currently positive here at Plymouth Harbor. We do have 3 residents in the Smith Care Center that are under self-quarantine or observation for having just been discharged from the hospital. These residents are not fully vaccinated either. We also have 3 of our teammates that are positive, 2 of which are in the memory care area and 1 is in Smith Care. They're all doing quite well, and we're looking forward to having them back with us as soon as possible.
Okay, excellent. Karen, let's go ahead and spend time now on, it was released late yesterday afternoon. We've been unpacking it last night, early this morning, and I think we're here now to kind of summarize that impact on Plymouth Harbor. So they have issued new guidance as of yesterday afternoon. And can you talk a little bit about what it means in our regulated areas, our nursing home, the Smith Care Center, our Seaside Assisted Living, and our Star Memory Care residences? Those are the regulated areas.
This is exciting news for our regulated areas, and this is really where we're starting to see the biggest changes. They've opened up visitation for all general visitors, meaning anybody that has like an extended family or friends that want to come and visit, they can now. They will still go through the screening process like you and I do, Harry, as well as our residents before they come into the building. There's some criteria, though, that actually has to be met. And as an independent resident, if you're going to go over to the regulated areas, I would ask that you touch base with April Gillespie as well as Katie Tackett to understand some of that criteria. But the general visitor coming in has the ability to actually go into that residence room. And if that resident is fully vaccinated, that visitor can actually hug that resident, which is a big improvement from times past, as long as that visitor is actually wearing a mask. So that is great news. Again, we have a general visitor that now can go in at any point in time. We also still have the compassionate caregiver that can go in there as well anytime and have that direct hands-on care or emotional support for our residents in the regulated areas.
So also now talk a little bit about the independent living side of Plymouth Harbor. I know we recently opened up visitations. Talk a little bit more about that and if there's been any changes with this new guidance.
Sure. There's not much changes as far as visitation for our independent residents. We have opened it up to visitation. We want to make sure still that our visitors come in fully vaccinated and have a photo ID. We're going to ask that they still come in through the main lobby so that we have that ability to check for that vaccination card as well as a photo ID. We are still limiting it to just the apartments. We don't quite yet have overnight stays, but this week and the beginning of next week, we're opening up quite a few venues. And we really want to kind of sit back after all these venues have been opened up and assess the situation. Are our numbers changing? Are we seeing an increase in positivity? If not, then we're going to progress slowly and open up more areas and possibly even consider those overnight stays. I know so many of you have families that are coming in for either spring break or planning for the summer, and they're going to want to stay here. But we too want to make sure that we're continuing that safe environment for everybody. We've done very well thus far, and we want to continue that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is just making people feel so much better. It just feels like, as I've said so many times before, you can feel the optimism in the air. You can feel that we're turning a corner, so to speak. So that's all good news, and it's only going to get better from here. But as we know, the key to success, and I know, Karen, you watch that positivity rate, which has to be 5% or lower. The key is going to be what, to continue with the social distancing, et cetera?
Yeah, those parameters are going to always really be in place for, I should say, for quite some time. We know that if you even think about the flu, wearing our mask actually prevented any flus from being required here at Plymouth Harbor. So right now, the mask, the hand washing, the social distancing truly is benefiting us all. And I see from CDC and how some of the research and the literature is kind of going, it's going to continue those parameters that we have in place, I'm sure, throughout the rest of this year.
Yes. And I do want to go back and just emphasize on the visitation on the independent side that the visitors are welcome, once again, fully vaccinated. And when they come through the screening, of course, we'll want to see a photo ID along with their vaccine card.
Correct. And that fully vaccinated, again, that's 2 vaccines and 2 weeks after that last vaccine. That is what the CDC defines as fully vaccinated.
And 2 things coming up next week. Of course, as we've mentioned before, Monday, that's the 15th of March. That'll be our final, I think it's our 11th vaccine clinic we've had here. And by the end of that day, we will have exceeded 2,500 vaccines that's been administered. And like, once again, we say it all the time because we believe it. Our partnership with CVS, Karen, I know how you feel. They've been just the ideal partner.
And I want to share some information that Julia, who is one of our pharmacists from CVS, gave me. If you lose your card, all you need to do is get on the internet and go to cvs.com and type in your information, and they can provide you with the dates of the vaccine as well as the lot numbers for those vaccines. So again, if you lose your card, cvs.com, and they can provide that information for you.
Okay, great. And the other thing going on next week is next Thursday, that's March 18th, we'll be doing a virtual residence meeting. I'm excited about that. And we're going to be Zooming it as well. So I'm anticipating we'll have quite a few people, maybe as much as 200 or so on Zoom, along with 15 residents, if you will, in the Pilgrim Hall, which is our theater. And Karen will also talk a little bit more about what we just went over today and if there's any more updates. So I'm looking forward to that residents meeting, but we're going to cover a lot of other topics as well. So that'll be very, very good. And what I said in the notice that went out yesterday, that if any resident has a question, I'd really like you to submit it ahead of time if all possible. I'd like to have those by noon this coming Monday, the 15th. And you can either write the question down, drop it off here to our offices. We're located on the mezzanine level, or you can send an email to my assistant, Kim Law, and that would be at Kim, K-I-M-L, at PlymouthHarbor.org. So, okay, Karen.
Summer's coming up, and I really want to remind people to really check with your airlines before you travel. Nothing has changed as far as travel regulations with the CDC. So some of our airlines are requiring you to get COVID testing and present those results 72 hours prior to you leaving, as well as 72 hours before you leave your destination to come back home. And 2, depending on where you go, there may be a 14-day to 10-day observation period that you have to stay in. And again, that's CDC regulations for that international travel. But I think we saved the best for last, Harry. We have these discharges that come from the hospital, and we've always had to put them in an observation period for 10 days. And now, effective, I guess this morning at
Today,
about 9:15-ish, we passed the policy with the guidance from CDC that you no longer have to self-quarantine if you're fully vaccinated. Now, that is all of the residents here at Plymouth Harbor. And I do see just about everybody standing up out of their chairs, yelling, going, all right. Yes, you don't have to isolate anymore when you're discharged from the hospital to Plymouth Harbor.
That's excellent news. And that's for those that are watching or not residents or team members. I trust me when I say That's extremely good news for all of our residents. So very good. Thank you, Karen, for that reminder. So, well, we're coming to the end of this video. So would you like to tell us what to do on our social distancing?
Absolutely. We want to remind you to keep that social distance, that 6 foot perimeter around you at all times. Remember to wash your hands quite frequently during the day and hit those high contact areas with those antibacterial wipes. Keep them in your car. You never know when you might need it. But most of all, still, even though we're vaccinated fully, we want to remind you to don your mask anytime you leave your apartment. When you go out in the public, please remember to wear your mask.
Okay, very good. Well, Karen, I think that brings conclusion to this update today. So it's time for us to don our mask.